Hello. Thank you for joining me for Revelation for September. Today is Friday, September 2nd, and we are going to look at the second chapter of the book of Revelation. The second chapter has 4 of the oracles or messages to the churches, the angels of the churches. Remember the 7 stars and that represent the 7 angels, and the lampstands represent the churches. And so for those churches, the messages are here to them, the initial messages. So we begin with the church in Ephesus, the community of faith in Ephesus. Ephesus is the capital city of Asia Minor, right there, and it's the largest city. And so they are the good guys. What we find out from this is, and I have a chart here I'm using from one of my Bible study books that I'm using that has all 7 of them. We find out that they're the good guys. They endure. They resist evildoers. That's a key thing. It's going to emerge better as we continue to look. And they not only resist false prophets, they test the prophets before they accept their teaching. And they have suffered for Jesus. And so they are the good guys. But John has one warning. He says, do not forget your first love. Don't abandon your first love. He sees that they have kind of lost their flavor a little bit. And that's my words, not his. And cautions them not to abandon their first love. But rejoices for them for rejecting the teaching of the Nicolaitans. And I'm just pronouncing that however I see it. They have rejected Nicolaitans. John, the author here, or baby Jesus is who is talking, has rejected the Nicolaitans. And then these are invited to be a part of the tree of life. So this is a good thing for the church in Ephesus. Then we moved on to the church in Smyrna. Same deal. Even better, actually. They have no caution at all. The Smyrnans are people who live in a seaside port, north of Ephesus, just to the north of Ephesus. It's another big city, and they are afflicted with poverty. And he says it's not the poverty of the coin, but it's a different kind of poverty, because there's a very large temple to the Roman gods that's there, a place of worship for Rome. And that they will receive persecution. They will suffer. They will go through these trials, and they are blameless. And so the people in Smyrna are good. That's good for them. Now, Pergamum and Thyatira are a different story. Pergamum is further north still, and a little to the west of Smyrna. And that is where there is an altar to Zeus. And so what we have our author saying in the chapter is, this is the throne of Satan. He lifts up a martyr, Antipas, who was martyred for the faith, and he indicates that in order to be a good Christian, you must first be a good Jew, not a false Jew. And so what I think is going on here is the people who are claiming to be Jewish Christians living in Pergamum are also sort of dabbling in foreign ideas of what is known as the cultic temple worship from the Romans. So they're kind of like dabbling in the Roman gods. And what they're doing is they're eating the food sacrificed to idols. Now, this is where John, the writer of Revelation, the John of Patmos, is diverting from Paul, who wrote most of the New Testament epistles. Paul he's indifferent towards eating the food sacrificed to idols, because they're not real, so who cares? But this is a very big sticking point for John, this author here. And he proclaims that it's a big sticking point for him too. It doesn't make a difference to Paul, because if he doesn't believe in those gods anyway, it doesn't matter who they're sacrificed to, food is food. So then there's this little piece at the end of this message, the oracle to the church at Pergamum, about a white stone with your new name on it. And that's very mysterious, and I don't see anything in my commentaries about it, but I think we're going to revisit that when I look a little bit more at some of the future chapters that we're coming to. So think about that white stone. And at that part, we move on to the oracle to the church at Thyatira. Now, Thyatira, he names the false prophet is Jezebel. It's a woman. And they're people, that's not her real name, but he's likening her to the Old Testament Jezebel, the the king's wife in the Old Testament that tried to kill Elijah. So he's connecting Ahab's wife Jezebel to, and she was actually eaten by dogs. But so to this false prophet that people in Thyatira are sort of dabbling with. But there are still some faithful people there, he says in the oracle, and he is Jesus talking through the prophetic vision that to John. So just kind of keep that in mind, that it's not his teaching that they're following, it's Jesus' teachings that they're following. So he's kind of putting a mouthpiece on Jesus. But he says that they're doing what they should do. Some of them are not going along with these, and it seems that they're just letting this other ideology kind of slip in the back door, and he's warning them against that. He's telling them, as he's told them in Pergamum, change your hearts, turn back to God, you know the true faith, live the true faith. But it's really very specific things that they're not doing right, and but these are the first 4 of the messages, oracles to the 7 churches that are the lampstands. So I hope you will carry this message with you, that no matter what is facing you, God is still going to be there. And these are words of comfort, especially for those who are mentioned in all 4 of these messages that are being faithful to who God is, faithful to Christ in these places in Asia Minor.